The door closes. You hear it, that small click, final. The kind that says the day is over. The world is locked out, and what remains is only this. This room, this breath, this quiet, and maybe this fear. Because nighttime does something to us, doesn't it? It removes the noise, the distraction, the performance, and suddenly we're left with what we've been carrying all day. The worry we smiled over, the hurt we talked around, the question we didn't ask, because we weren't ready for the answer. Night doesn't let us hide, but neither does God. Right now, in this stillness, He is here, not loud, not demanding, just present. The way a father sits beside a child who woke from a bad dream, not saying much, just staying. You don't have to pray perfectly tonight. You don't have to find the right words or feel the right things. You don't even have to feel Him. He's not measuring your faith by how awake you are or how eloquent your thoughts become before sleep pulls you under. He already knows. He knows the weight in your chest, the ache you haven't named, the fear that waits until you're alone to whisper its lies. He knows the questions you're afraid to ask out loud, the ones that sound like doubt but feel like drowning. And He's not afraid of any of it. There's a psalm, one David wrote when he had every reason to be terrified. Enemies surrounded him, darkness pressed in. And instead of begging God to take the fear away, he said something strange, something that didn't make sense, unless you understood what it meant to be held. Yea, he said, I lie down and sleep. I wake again, because the Lord sustains me. Not, I try to sleep. Not, I hope I sleep. Just, I lie down and sleep. As if it were already decided, as if the night had already been given to God. And there was nothing left to protect, nothing left to control. Because the one who never sleeps was watching, and that was enough. Maybe tonight, that's where you are, not in a place of perfect peace, but in a place where you're learning to let go. To stop gripping so tightly, to exhale, and say, even if it's only a whisper, I'm yours. Because that's what safety is, isn't it? Not the absence of danger, not the removal of uncertainty, but the presence of someone who is greater than both. Someone who holds you, even when you can't feel His hands. Someone who listens, even when you've run out of words. You are not alone in this room. You are not alone in this night. God is here, quiet, steady, unchanging, and He will not leave. The world outside your window has its own rhythm now, different from the daytime, slower, softer, the edges blurred. Maybe you can hear the wind moving through the trees, or the distant sound of traffic, fading into nothing. Or maybe it's so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat, that steady reminder that you're alive, that you're here, that something deeper than your thoughts is keeping you breathing. And in that rhythm, there's something holy. Because your heart doesn't ask permission to beat. It doesn't wait for you to have faith, or feel ready, or understand what's happening. It just continues, faithful, constant, a gift you didn't earn and can't control. Just like God's presence. He doesn't wait for you to get it right. He doesn't pause when you doubt or hesitate when you're afraid. He just stays faithful, constant, present in ways you might not recognize, until you stop trying so hard to feel him and simply trust that he's there. You've been carrying so much today, haven't you? Not just the obvious things, not just the tasks and the responsibilities and the conversations that drained you, but the invisible weight. The kind nobody sees. The expectations you place on yourself, the standards you can never quite meet, the voice in your head that says you should be further along by now, stronger by now, better by now. That voice is loud during the day, but at night it gets louder. Because there's nothing to drown it out, no distractions to mute it, just you and the darkness and the relentless whisper that you're not enough. But God doesn't speak like that. His voice sounds different, quieter, yes, but not weak, not uncertain, just kind. The kind of kindness that doesn't need you to prove anything. The kind that sees you exactly as you are. Tired, flawed, afraid, and doesn't flinch, doesn't withdraw, doesn't wait for you to clean yourself up before offering love. He just loves you. Right now, in this moment, in this mess. And maybe that's what you need to hear tonight. Not that you need to try harder, or do better, or fix what's broken, but that you are already loved, already seen, already held. Not because of what you've done, but because of who he is. There's a verse that says God neither slumbers nor sleeps. It's easy to read that and think it's about his power, his vigilance, his control over everything. And maybe it is. But maybe it's also about his tenderness. Because if he never sleeps, it means he's always watching. Not in the way a guard watches a prisoner, but in the way a mother watches a sleeping child. With eyes full of love, with a heart that delights in every breath, with a presence that wraps around you like a blanket, keeping you safe even when you're not aware of the danger. You don't have to stay awake to keep yourself safe tonight. You don't have to monitor your thoughts or manage your fears or figure out how to fix tomorrow's problems before sunrise. God is awake, and that means you can rest, really rest. Not the shallow kind of rest where your body is still, but your mind is racing. Not the kind where you're half present, half worried, never fully letting go, but the deep kind. The kind that only comes when you stop trying to be your own protector and let someone else take the watch. He's not asking you to be strong tonight. He's asking you to be his. And there's a difference. Strength is about what you can do, what you can carry, what you can endure. But being his, that's about surrender, about trust, about opening your hands and letting go of the illusion that you ever had control in the first place. The room is darker now. The sounds outside have softened. Maybe a car passing. Maybe the hum of the refrigerator. Maybe nothing at all. And in the silence, something shifts. Not in the world, in you. Because you've been holding your breath, haven't you? Holding everything. The day, the worry, the future that hasn't happened yet, but already feels heavy. You've been clenching your fists around things you were never meant to carry. But God doesn't ask you to let go because he's taking something from you. He asks you to let go because he's already holding it. There's a moment in the Gospels, one that doesn't get talked about much. It's late. The disciples are in a boat. A storm is raging. Waves are crashing over the sides. And Jesus is asleep. Asleep. While the storm screams, while the boat fills with water, while grown men who make their living on the sea are convinced they're about to die. And he's asleep. Not because he doesn't care, but because he knows something they don't. He knows that the wind obeys him. He knows that the waves recognize his voice. He knows that no storm, no matter how violent, has the authority to take what belongs to him. And you belong to him. So when the disciples finally wake him, panicked and desperate, he doesn't panic back. He doesn't rush. He simply stands and speaks. Peace, be still. And the storm stops. Not gradually, not after a long explanation, just stops. Because his voice carries more weight than the wind. His presence holds more power than the chaos. And the same God who calmed the sea with a word is here with you now, in this room, in this darkness, and in this quiet. he sees the storm you're in, the one no one else knows about, the one you've been trying to survive on your own. And he's not asking you to be stronger. He's asking you to be still. To stop fighting, to stop striving, to stop pretending you have to figure this out before morning comes. You don't. All you have to do tonight is rest. Let the waves rage. Let the wind howl. Let the questions go unanswered for now. Because the God who never sleeps is watching over you, and that means you can close your eyes. You can breathe. You can let go. Do you remember what it felt like to be a child at bedtime? Not the resistance, not the excuses or the negotiations for 5 more minutes, but the moment after, when the light was turned off and the door was almost closed, and you could hear someone you loved moving around in the next room. The sound of dishes being washed, footsteps on the floor, a voice, distant but present. And somehow, that sound was enough. You didn't need them in the room with you. You didn't need constant reassurance. You just needed to know they were there. That you weren't alone. That if you called out, they would come. That's what God's presence feels like tonight. Not intrusive, not overwhelming, just there. He's in the next room, close enough to hear, close enough to respond, close enough that even in your sleep, some part of you knows you're not alone. And maybe that's all faith really is. Not certainty, not perfect understanding, not the absence of fear. Just the quiet knowing that someone is there, that you are heard, that you are loved. Even now, even here, even in the dark. There's a strange kind of trust that happens in the dark. The kind you can't fake, the kind you can't manufacture, the kind that only shows up when you've run out of options, and all you have left is the choice to believe or not. And maybe that's where you are tonight. Not in a place of perfect clarity, not in a place where everything makes sense, but in a place where you're tired enough to stop pretending, honest enough to admit you don't have the answers, vulnerable enough to say, God, I need you, and that is prayer. Not the eloquent kind, not the kind that sounds impressive or theologically precise, just the raw, desperate, beautiful kind that says, I can't do this alone. And God hears it. Not because you said it perfectly, but because you said it at all. There's a story in the Old Testament about a man named Jacob. He was running from his past, from his mistakes, from the consequences of his own choices. And one night, alone in the wilderness, he lay down to sleep with nothing but a stone for a pillow. No comfort, no security, no guarantee that tomorrow would be better than today. Just darkness and exhaustion and the faint hope that maybe, somehow, God hadn't given up on him. And that night, while he slept, God showed up. Not with judgment, not with a lecture, but with a ladder, a connection between heaven and earth, a reminder that even when Jacob felt abandoned, even when he felt unworthy, even when he felt like he'd wandered too far, God was still there, still watching, still caring, still reaching. And when Jacob woke up, he said something that echoes through every dark night since. Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. Maybe that's true for you tonight. Maybe God has been here all along, and you just didn't realize it. Maybe the darkness you're in isn't a sign of His absence, but an invitation to see Him in a new way. To know Him not just as the God of the daylight, the God of clarity and control, but as the God of the night, the God who meets you in the uncertainty, the God who holds you when you can't hold yourself. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not too far, too broken, too tired, or too afraid. You are His. And tonight, that is enough. The hours pass slowly in the dark, don't they? Minutes feel longer, thoughts feel heavier, and the silence can feel like too much or not enough, depending on the moment. But there's something sacred about this space. Because in the daylight, we're always performing, always presenting, always trying to be the version of ourselves that others expect, that we expect, that feels manageable. But at night, when no one is watching, when there's no one to impress and nothing to prove, we can finally be honest. We can finally admit that we're scared, that we're tired, that we don't have it all together, that we need help, that we need God. And that honesty, that's where He meets us. Not in our strength, not in our certainty, but in our surrender. There's a verse that says, He gives His beloved sleep. Not because His beloved are perfect, not because they've earned it or figured it out, but simply because they are loved. Because He cares for them. Because He knows they need rest more than they need answers. And tonight, that includes you. You don't have to solve everything before you close your eyes. You don't have to fix what's broken or untangle what's complicated. You don't have to be anything other than what you are right now, tired, human, and held. God is not disappointed in you. He's not frustrated with your weakness or impatient with your questions. He's not waiting for you to get stronger before He shows up. He's already here, in the stillness, in the quiet, in the space between your thoughts and your breath. He's here. And He's whispering the same thing He's been whispering all along. You are mine. You are safe. You are loved. You know what's beautiful about darkness? It doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't ask you to perform or produce or prove your worth. It just is. And in being what it is, It creates space for you to be what you are. Tired, uncertain, fragile. The world tells you those things are weaknesses, that you should hide them, fix them, overcome them as quickly as possible. But God sees them differently. He sees your tiredness and says, "Rest in me." He sees your uncertainty and says, "I know the way." He sees your fragility and says, "I am your strength." He doesn't need you to be anything other than what you are, because what you are is His creation, His child, His beloved. And that is not a small thing. There's a psalm that says God keeps our tears in a bottle, every single one. Not because He's sentimental, but because they matter to Him, because you matter to Him. The tears you cried today, the ones you held back, the ones that came out of nowhere. In the shower or the car, or that quiet moment when you thought you were fine and suddenly realized you weren't. He saw them. He sees you. Not just the version of you that you show the world, but the real you. The one who's afraid of being too much and not enough at the same time. The one who wonders if anyone really knows you. The one who's tired of trying so hard and getting nowhere. That you. That's the you He loves. Not the cleaned up version, not the version that has it all together, but the messy, complicated, beautifully human you. And tonight, He's inviting you to stop hiding, to stop pretending, to stop carrying the weight of who you think you should be, and simply rest in who you are. His child, His beloved, His. There's a kind of peace that doesn't make sense. The kind that shows up in the middle of the storm, not after. The kind that wraps around you even when nothing has changed. The kind that lets you exhale, even when the world is still heavy. It's not logical. It's not reasonable. It defies explanation. But it's real. And it comes from knowing that you are not in charge of holding your life together. That responsibility doesn't rest on your shoulders. That the God who created the universe, who spoke light into darkness, who numbers every star and knows every hair on your head, that God is holding you. Not loosely, not carelessly, but with the kind of tenderness that only perfect love can offer. You are held. Not because you've done everything right. Not because you've prayed hard enough or believed strong enough, but because He is faithful, because He is good, because His love doesn't waver with your circumstances or your feelings. His love is constant. And tonight, that love is all around you, in the air you breathe, in the rhythm of your heartbeat, in the quiet that settles over you like a blanket. He is with you, and He will not let go. Maybe you've been waiting for a sign, for confirmation that everything will be okay, for proof that God is listening, that He cares, that He hasn't forgotten you. And maybe the sign isn't what you expected. Maybe it's not a miracle, not a dramatic answer, not a sudden change in your circumstances. Maybe it's just this quiet, this stillness, this moment where you're still breathing, still here, still held. Maybe that's the sign that even in the uncertainty, even in the fear, even in the darkness, you are not alone. God is here, and He has been here all along, not in the noise, not in the chaos, but in the quiet places. The places where you stop running and start listening, the places where you stop performing and start trusting. He's been here, waiting, not with judgment, not with impatience, but with open arms. With a love that doesn't need you to be perfect, with a presence that doesn't require you to have it all figured out. He just wants you to come, to rest, to let go, to trust that He is enough. And tonight, He is. There's a moment that happens sometimes in the middle of the night. You wake up, not fully, just enough to be aware that you're awake. And for a second, you don't know where you are. You don't know what time it is. You don't know if you've been asleep for hours or minutes. And in that moment of disorientation, there's a choice. You can let the panic rise. Let your mind start cataloging everything you need to do tomorrow. Everything you didn't finish today. Everything that's wrong or uncertain or out of your control. Or you can remember. Remember that you are not alone. That God is still here, that nothing has changed in His watchfulness or His care. And you can choose, even in that half-awake state, to trust Him again, to close your eyes again, to let sleep take you again. Because the middle of the night is not the time to solve problems. It's not the time to make decisions or plan strategies or figure out how everything is going to work. The middle of the night is for rest, and God knows that. He's not waiting for you to wake up and prove your dedication. He's not testing your faith by keeping you alert. He's inviting you into the kind of rest that only comes from knowing you're safe. Really safe. Not because your circumstances are perfect, not because you've figured everything out, but because you are held by someone who is greater than any circumstance, wiser than any plan, more faithful than any promise. You can sleep, you can rest, you can let go. The night stretches ahead of you now, hours of darkness, hours of silence, hours of surrender. And somewhere in those hours, sleep will come. Not because you forced it, not because you earned it, but because your body knows what your mind is still learning. That you were made to rest. That rest is not weakness. That stillness is not failure. That closing your eyes and letting go is not giving up. It's trusting. Trusting that the God who never sleeps is watching over you, that He knows every need before you name it, that He is working even when you are not. And so you can rest. You can breathe deeply and let your shoulders drop. You can unclench your fists and stop holding on so tightly. You can close your eyes and know that when you wake, whenever that is, He will still be here, still watching, still loving, still holding. Because that's what He does. Not just tonight, but every night, every moment, every breath. He is with you, and He always will be. Maybe tomorrow will be hard. Maybe the problems you're facing tonight will still be there when the sun rises. Maybe the questions you have won't be answered by morning. Maybe the pain you're carrying won't disappear with sleep. But that's tomorrow. And tomorrow has enough trouble of its own. Tonight is for rest. For letting God be God. For remembering that you are not the one holding the world together. For trusting that the same God who brought you through today will be there tomorrow. You don't have to have all the answers tonight. You don't have to know how it's all going to work out. You just have to trust that the one who does know is with you. And that trust, that's enough. Not because it changes your circumstances, but because it changes you. It softens the edges of your fear. It quiets the voice of anxiety. It reminds you that you are not alone in this. You never were, and you never will be. There's a verse in the Psalms that says, "In peace I will lie down and sleep. For you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Not when everything is resolved, I will sleep. Not, after I figure this out, I will rest. Just, in peace I will lie down and sleep." Present tense, immediate, a choice made in the moment, not after the storm has passed. Because peace isn't the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of God, and God is here, right now, in this room, in this darkness, in this moment. He's not waiting for you to clean up your life before He shows up. He's not holding back His presence until you get your act together. He's here, messy middle and all. And His presence is enough. Enough to calm your racing thoughts. Enough to ease the tightness in your chest. Enough to let you breathe a little deeper and rest a little easier. Not because everything is okay, but because He is. The psalmist who wrote those words, he wasn't living a perfect life. He was being hunted, threatened. His own son had turned against him. He had every reason to lie awake in fear. But he didn't. He chose peace. He chose rest. He chose to trust that God was bigger than his circumstances. And you can make that same choice tonight. Not because it's easy, not because it feels natural, but because it's true. God is bigger than what you're facing. He's stronger than your fear. He's more faithful than your doubts. And He is here. Not somewhere far away, not waiting for you to reach some spiritual milestone before He draws near. here, with you, in you, around you, holding you even when you can't feel it, loving you even when you can't sense it, working even when you can't see it. He is here. And that changes everything. So tonight, as the darkness deepens and the world grows quiet, let yourself be held. Let yourself rest. Let yourself trust that the God who never sleeps is watching over you with eyes full of love. You don't have to be strong anymore. You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to figure everything out before you close your eyes. You just have to let go. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the fear that you're not enough. Let go of the burden of carrying tomorrow's worries into tonight's rest. Let go and let God. Because He's got you, He's always had you, and He's not letting go. There's an ancient prayer, one that's been whispered in darkness for centuries. Simple words, but profound. Into your hands I commit my spirit. Not my plans, not my fears, not my questions. My spirit, the deepest part of me, the part that belongs to you before I even knew your name. Into your hands. Not into my own strength, not into my own understanding, but into yours. Because your hands are safe, your hands are strong, your hands are gentle. And tonight, those hands are holding you. Maybe you can't feel them, maybe you can't see them, but they're there. Underneath you, around you, within you. Holding you the way a potter holds clay, not to crush, but to shape, not to break, but to form something beautiful. And maybe that's what this season is. Not abandonment, not punishment, but formation. God shaping you in the darkness, where no one else can see, where the work is quiet and slow and invisible to everyone but Him. You are not falling apart. You are being made. And the God who began this good work in you will be faithful to complete it. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but in His time. And until then, He holds you. There's nothing left to do now. No prayers to perfect, no fears to fix, no battles to fight. Just rest, just trust, just let go. The night is long, Voldi, but you are not alone. The darkness is deep, but you are held. The silence is vast, but God is speaking. Not in words you can hear with your ears, but in the language of presence, the language of peace, the language of love that doesn't need sound to be understood. He is with you. And that is everything. So breathe. Let your body sink into the softness beneath you. Let your muscles release the tension they've been holding all day. Let your mind stop racing and your heart stop striving. Just be tired, be uncertain, be afraid if you need to be. But also, be held, be loved, be seen, be known. because you are all of those things. Not because of anything you've done, but because of who God is. And who He is enough. For tonight, for tomorrow, for every night and every tomorrow after that. He is enough. And so are you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're His. The hours will pass, the night will move through its cycles, and eventually, morning will come. But that's not your concern right now. Right now, your only job is to rest. To let God be God while you simply are. To trust that He's working in the darkness, even when you can't see it, that He's holding you through the night, even when you're not aware of it, that He's loving you with a love that doesn't sleep, doesn't waver, doesn't fade. A love that is here, now, always. And so you can close your eyes. You can let your breathing slow. You can let sleep come when it comes, knowing that whether you're awake or asleep, you are held, you are safe, you are loved. God has you, and that is all you need to know. Rest now, let go, sleep. He's got you. He's always had you, and He's not letting go. Not tonight, not tomorrow, not ever. You are His, and that is enough.